Have a great day with the entire family at Monmouth Mall. Picture this: great fashion, great food, and great fun. Snap up everything you need all in one place. All your favorite stores, all your favorite brands. 145 retailers, plus Macy's, Boscov's, Lord & Taylor, and JCPenney. Any day, every day, it's always a picture-perfect day at Monmouth Mall. Routes 35 and 36 in Eatontown. Monmouth Mall. Get the picture?
Opening in 1960, Monmouth Mall would become one of the largest shopping centers in the state of New Jersey. In the past 2 decades, the mall would slide into a 60% vacancy rate, which would fall to the dramatic lows in the 2020 pandemic, leading its owner to announce demolition of the majority of the mall, which began in 2024. But before its demise, we would travel over to visit to see the entirely empty 2-story bulk of the mall, which was essentially abandoned. But this video is not to just gawk at the dead mall, because Monmouth Mall was very much alive for half a century, drawing in scores of shoppers on a daily basis. If you know Ruin Road, you know we value our privacy. In our personal life, it's not always easy to maintain. Whether we know it or not, sites will mine our data like full name, email, health records, and more, which they will sell to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who wants to snoop. That's why we started using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows us which data brokers are selling our personal information and automatically submits opt-out requests on our behalf. This not only reduces the amount of spam you'll get, but protects against hackers who can use this information to gain access to our social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. Aura also provides a ton of other features bundled into one easy-to-use app at an affordable price. You get antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without needing to bother with different apps. We all have one or more of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. And if you're a regular viewer, you'll know how often that happens. Like 24-hour security, motion sensors, and guard dogs, Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping my info safe so I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. Relaxing. Ruin Road values our privacy, and we also value yours. Go to aura.com/ruinroad to start a free 2-week trial, also linked below in the description. We enter into the first floor section, which is part of the original structure. When it opened, the then-named Monmouth Shopping Center was a multi-building open-air structure that was 10 years in the making. The opening ceremony featured thousands of orange, blue, and white balloons released into the air for the 12 stores open. More would open in the following months until the second phase ceremony would be held in May that year, and it would grow to 55 stores and 2 anchors in 15 buildings. The shopping center was planned as a village green, with 400-seat auditorium and multi-purpose room available for community events. And indeed it was, holding political speeches, luau's, and Halloween parties for the first few years. Sales records would increase each year as well, and in 1966, Monmouth was sold to Continental Shopping Centers along with the Suburban Square Center in Pennsylvania for a combined total of $15 million. The new owners announced they would expand the center with another 4 buildings. They would keep special events as a focus, holding yearly jazz festivals, parachuting Santas, and serving as political campaign headquarters such as Senator Eugene McCarthy's 1968 presidential campaign, followed by Richard Nixon giving an early speech later that year, preparing for his own bid. It would be sold yet again in 1971, this time meeting local opposition to expand yet again. It was then that the first talks of enclosing the mall began, but it would not be until 1975 when a new $25 million enclosed Monmouth Mall would open, keeping just 1 building and connecting it to the dual-level section with 3 new anchors. It would over double in size to 1.5 million square feet of leasable space on 105 acres, making it the 3rd largest in New Jersey and the 8th largest mall in the country. The grand reopening was held on August 19, 1975, featuring a quick ribbon cutting before the doors were raised and shoppers could enter the concourse, which was filled with specially designed planters, in-ground trees, custom sculptures, a children's play area, and a center fountain. The first holiday season saw record-breaking sales for the mall, followed by JCPenney opening its largest store of its 1,700 across the country in September the following year. The mall continued its tradition as an event center, holding telethons, celebrity appearances, art exhibits, and was even the location of the 1977 Miss New Jersey beauty pageant, which saw the previous year's Miss Universe in attendance. That year also saw a small fire break out in 2 stores, but the biggest story was the kidnapping of Susan Leventhal from her home by James Lowe, who then forced her to come to the Kresge store she worked at in the mall and take $6,500 from the safe. It would turn out that the mastermind behind the crime was Gary Wagner, who was a former employee at the store. In 1978, Abraham & Straus would open the 5th anchor at the mall and eclipse Penny's as the largest at 278,000 square feet. That year, the mall would also threaten to sue singer Tiny Tim after he failed to show up for 2 scheduled shows. In the end, coming to an agreement, he would appear for the Christmas season kickoff festivities along with the annual parachuting Santa. Another annual tradition that began in 1978 was the tomato weigh-in, where whoever grew the heaviest tomato in the state won a $1,000 prize. Since its opening, the mall had pushed against the county's blue law, which forbid shopping on Sundays, but it would not be until 1979 that the law would finally be voted out, and 144 of the 155 stores in Monmouth would open to shopping on Sundays. Seiko, that damn robot that would later appear in Rocky IV and tour malls all the time, came to Monmouth to celebrate the opening of the new Bell telephone store in 1981, along with Mickey Mouse and Snoopy. A man involved in a police chase would ditch his stolen car in the parking lot, run into Han's department store, and change clothing, but was apprehended on his way out. Another man would be arrested after he broke into the mall after hours and stole $11,000 of antique jewelry that was there for an exposition. Police would step up their patrols in the early 80s after almost 50 cars were stolen from the mall parking lot in a year. In 1983, another man was arrested for his scheme of telling women he was a mechanic and their car's brakes weren't working. When he would go inside to pull the emergency brake, he would go through their purse, making $1,000 before eventually being caught. 1985 marked the mall's 25th anniversary, and renovations to the new 10-year-old building were announced to the 98% occupied center. A contest for anniversary cakes was held as a category in the annual cake decorating contest. Renovations would not be finished until 1987, which saw new lighting, flooring, windows, handrails, as well as taking out the attached planters and replacing them with movable ones. By 1989, they were planning on shifting into more upscale retail, bringing in Lord & Taylor's to replace the closing Hans and predicting at least a quarter of new concourse stores by the time they would open. 1989 is also when future Disney Channel star Ashley Tisdale would be discovered by her manager at the mall and would begin to appear in hundreds of commercials from the age of 3. A 12-foot section of the newly dismantled Berlin Wall was put on display in 1990. That same year, the owners also announced they would be expanding yet again to compete against the newly opening Freehold Raceway Mall by tearing down 2 original freestanding buildings to replace with the conjoined food court between Macy's and what was then the vacant Caldor anchor, which would be replaced with a 15-screen movie theater. When it would be completed in 1994, the food court was themed with vintage Jersey Shore decor, while the rest of the mall received a facelift at the same time, along with a new exterior signage. There was one major mishap during the construction, when 2 utility trucks that were working inside the mall caused carbon monoxide levels to raise so severely it sent 23 people to the hospital. Reportedly, workmen asked the operator of the Jersey Central Power and Light Company trucks to turn them off, but he simply insulted them. The original plans actually called for the food court to be added over the Macy's Kids building, which would be turned into Barnes & Noble in 2009, at which time the food court was also redesigned to its current theme along with adding several new outside restaurants. At the time of our visit, the area around the food court is the last spot that holds any tenants. Back when the mall was alive, however, legendary battles would break out between the Chinese and Japanese restaurants which operated side by side, with fights breaking out over things such as offering samples.
Oh yeah.
Another famous story involved a worker at Auntie Anne's who was renowned for singing R&B while he was handing out samples in the concourse. In 1999, the mall sponsored a contest where 16 people competed to see who could keep their hands on a new Saturn SL, which took 110 hours to determine the winner. On the other end of the mall, Boscov's would renovate the former Abraham & Straus anchor in 2001. The grand opening featuring a ribbon cutting of $100 bills and featuring performances by singer Julius LaRosa. This would be the most successful opening weekend in the company's history. Another kidnapping would feature Monmouth Mall that year when Barry Sherman kidnapped a 6-year-old child from her yard, making one of several ransom calls from a payphone inside the mall, and finally releasing her here as well before he received the ransom. This decade would see online shopping begin to take its toll. In 2002, the mall had been purchased by Vornado Realty Trust, who would sell a 50% stake to Kushner Companies in 2015 for $38 million, and sell completely out in 2021. Boscov's would close in 2008 when the company declared bankruptcy, but did reopen in 2011, having another $100 bill ribbon cutting and this time bringing in Shirley Jones for performances. Before that reopening though, the empty parking lots were put to good use with an Alkaline Trio concert and Habitat for Humanity building 3 homes to then be transported to their new owners. The movie theater would temporarily close in 2010 when a bedbug infestation was discovered in 3 of the theaters. But the mall was still a far cry from how dead it is today. This footage of a flash mob during the 2010 holiday season showing it was still a bustling place. Lines stretched out to the parking lot to meet Chef Bobby Flay when he came to celebrate his burger restaurant's 10-year anniversary, and an unexpected shopper would pay a visit in 2011, when a deer smashed through a glass window and eventually hid inside the Journey store before he could be captured. The first plans for redevelopment would be announced in 2016 when Kushner put forth a $500 million mixed-use residential and hotel expansion plan. A plan that was vehemently opposed by residents. One other question raised during this time is what happened to the time capsule that was buried here back when the mall first opened in 1960. Laid under a marble slab inscribed with "The Famous Americans of Monmouth County, Past, Present, and Future," they would place local documents from 1836, 1783, and a 1960 architectural plan of the shopping center along with an insurance policy and copy of the Boy Scout handbook. The capsule is believed to have been moved when the area was buried and paved over for the Penny's parking lot in the 1970s, but if it was ever located, it was not reported. In 2018, plans for demolishing the two-story wing of the mall would be approved following Lord & Taylor's closure. JCPenney's would follow in 2022, but work would not begin until early 2024 to the new Monmouth Town Center, an open-air street mall mixed-use retail concept. After 49 years as an enclosed shopping center, Monmouth Mall will go back to its roots yet again, proving the age-old adage that what goes around comes around. And who knows, maybe in another few decades it will all be bulldozed yet again for the next newest shopping fad. But until then, Monmouth Mall as we know it will exist only in memories.